Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Mr. Commander Theater 100. I'm joined again by Synergistic.
How's it, everybody?
Yeah, and this time around, we're featuring some of the universes beyond, some characters that aren't originally from the MTG lore. So I'm playing Chun-li. We have Resting playing Rick, Steadfast Leader, Bad Kitty on Gidorah, but which is really just the mutate Godzilla. So kind of fits the theme, and Synergistic on Mike and Will the Wise from Stranger Things. So you go first, but thankfully I go second, and I get a Gemstone Cavern, so it's almost like you go first, in a sense.
It's nice turn 0.
Oh yeah, turn 0 and Lighten Tutor. And when we were looking over the game, I was just thinking, like, why didn't I get my Crypt? And I forgot, this is just going to be a little bit lower power, so if you're seeing plays where you're like, why wouldn't you just get this thing? It's probably because it's not in the deck. So.
Well, the good cards are out. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like I think we came up with like 3 tutor rule or something like that. Maybe like 2 or 3.
I think we upped it to 4. I think we have 4. I think it was a 4 tutor rule, and we agreed on no free spells. So
and infinite combos. Yeah.
So, yeah, and infinites. So
pretty weak magic.
Yeah.
Battle Cruiser, would you think? Technically?
No, this is not Battle Cruiser, because we're still playing with high power strategies. We just are not accelerating into them, or winning on the spot. So it allows for more interaction overall, because your turns are kind of delayed.
Yeah, and I guess as we talk about the turns, right? I think both Bad Kitty and Resting play tap lands. I play Will on turn 2, gave everybody a clue. Seeing just a battlefield, people chose to get a clue. You played a 3-drop on turn 2, which is pretty good, and then you also decided to make a clue and then popped it with Soul Ring.
Yep, I actually played a 3-drop in turn 1.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
which is even further, drives home the fact that the right side of the table at the moment is thriving, while the left is playing Mind Stone and passing. So there's but the good thing about it is Rick is more of a Staxy kind of commander, just using all those humans that have those effects, and you kind of need it because you need a little bit less in this pod because we're running creatures and we're not accelerating as fast with things, things that Dahlia would hit like a Crypt. But
sure.
Overall, considering you're going up against Mutate, I'm kind of a Flicker, a Spell Slinger deck, and Rick is a human beatdown kind of Staxy. What's your threat assessment? Like, what's something that's the most dangerous to you at the moment?
Nothing. Turn 2, turn 3. It's people are just ramping, getting their game started.
That's fair, yeah.
I think just because you played Soul Ring turn 1 and had a turn 0 play, it seems like puts you at the top, but it's really early, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I have a lot of mana, but like we said before, in these kinds of power levels, it's not 6 mana does not equal a win a lot of the time, so having an excess of mana just means I can cast Chun-Li, set it for the next turn, and get I believe I get the Enlightened Tutor. So
yeah, and that's actually pretty strong. So prior to talking, I thought the Enlightened Tutor was an answer to my deck, because I'm a Reanimator deck, which
it is actually, it can be, because I run Grafdigger's Cage for these kinds of matchups, just because outside of this plane, and I run it specifically for things that I really can't, because I want to use the graveyard as well, so I can't run Rest in Peace as a white deck, because I get all the things that go. So Chun-Li gets around this effect through Grafdigger's Cage, so it's one of the better cards for me to hit on an angle where it doesn't affect me. So here I'm just I play CEDH so much that I forget that combat, in little increments, but you kind of have to keep doing it. But
Resting plays some Marble Diamonds, more ramp, and a Mother, which is a pretty good card in a Humans deck.
Other runes, yeah, it comes in pretty handy, especially when you have such a central piece like Rick that's giving your team 2 keyword abilities and 2/2. So
yeah,
+2/+2, I should say.
Like Kitty goes for the Crouching, Sky Crouching. Good God. Thank you. Yeah, shocking for a Breeding Pool and getting another island. So he'll probably use his lands to pop the clue. I am moving along my game plan. So if you see my battlefield, I have a Priest of the Fell Rites, which is a Reanimator effect, and then I'm casting Burial Rites. So I'm getting my engine on really quickly right now, right? Get 3 creatures into the battlefield, and then bring one of them back to turn with everybody's tapped out or ramping. So wide open to do this.
Intuition, blue decks.
Yeah. And no
So,
free
why
free
did you pick
spells.
these three?
Elshorn, great card. If you've seen any of our recordings, I literally put it on every deck that I play. Golgari, Grave Troll is one of the better dredge cards, which will be good when I draw cards or pop my clues. And then Ashen Rider is just a exile target permanent, so it seems pretty good. And then, as I mentioned before, I thought you had a Rest in Peace. I didn't really think about your deck synergy too well. Or a Gravedigger's Cage, so I was like, oh, he's gonna come to my game plan now. We kind of have that. So that's why.
Yeah, unfortunately, my Chun-Li, I did not have the mana to equip the boots. That would have been pretty helpful, because at that point in time, Chun-Li would have been survived, and I would have been able to get the Gravedigger's. But
yeah,
I'll just a turn too late, and especially when you gemstone into Soul Ring.
Yeah, imagine, right?
It's hard to think you're a little low on mana, but Chun-Li gets recast here. You don't have a sack outlet at the moment, so I think it's pretty safe. And I'm available to equip my boots. So now, even though Chun-Li and this overall game plan of me getting at the time which you thought was the Rest in Peace or Gravedigger's Cage is correct, and I'm still trying to follow that.
So everything goes for a Oketra's Monument, which is just a little makes his white spell. White creatures cost one less, it's pretty good. And then cast a Luminarch Aspirant. So for one, and just puts counters on creatures, which is pretty good. It's just moving his human final arm right along.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It gives you some synergy, and a lot of the times, White's pretty good at protection, and he has a good. Well, he has Mother of Runes at the moment, so it's pretty good. And if you can just get Rick past those really like crucial burn spells, or get him really high to where he can just block, pretty good.
And now the tables have turned, and the priority has shifted, because that is a Skewed Swarm.
There's a Skewed Swarm.
Yeah, with 5 mana with a little mutate on it too, so that's pretty good. Now he gets a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've played EDH a lot, it's Skewed Swarm's a pretty strong creature. It gets out of hand pretty quick. So you just make a lot of tokens, a lot of copies as you play fetch lands or lands.
Yeah, it's pretty scary here. If he has another way to play a land, like if there's an Explorer or something like that, that'd be pretty bad for us. Because then 2 is the time when you really need to interact with Skewed Swarm, because outside once it gets past 2, then it's 4, and trying to get rid of 4 things outside of a board wipe isn't really going to happen. So it's just going to snowball. So it almost warrants, like, if you're going to interact with Skewed Swarm, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
You always don't need to kill 1 though, but we know that he has the Sky Shroud claim, so he has a way to play additional lands. But I think this is another really underrated part of EDH, is kind of almost like sandbagging in a way and kind of letting your opponents play the threats first. Because now you put an Ashnod's Altar, and you have a way to sacrifice, and you have recursion in the command zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you deal with the Skewed Swarm, which is great because you use the resources that you had before, and then now you're just gonna bring back the Ashen Rider. So you can present this loop, but now we have to shift all focus to you. So it's crazy. I went through 3 different plans before untapping.
Well, I think we made an alliance here, made a deal where you couldn't like path or deal with my board for 2 turns or so, which is the unlikeliest of enemies coming together to work together to kill the Skewed Swarms.
I don't think it was for a turn. I think it was for this, just this time, this interaction.
Yeah, I mean, when you went to combat, you wouldn't be able to swing at my creatures, I think, so. It's just for your turn, you couldn't deal with my things.
Yeah, well, I guess I couldn't here. I believe I get a Shadow Rift, because I wanted to draw a card, and see if I could generate any more colored mana, because unfortunately, if you flicker Chun-Li, you really don't get you can't cast it for the character cost. So here I go for the Enlightened Tutor, and I was debating getting the Ristic Study or the Gravedigger's Cage. At this point in time, I saw he already used his way to reanimate it, and I know that you might have other ways, but at this point in time, I'm pretty certain that he's arch enemy number 1, and when everyone's interacting with him, I want to be able to draw cards. So.
Yeah, it's like pretty good. People usually don't play their taxes either, more often than not, in lower pots. Unless your name is Dr. Vusk and you never pay for your taxes. But yeah, Rick's coming out. Turn whatever 4, which is pretty good. Still turn 5, 6.
Unfortunately, the tokens that Oketcher's Monument produces are not humans, so Rick's secondary ability is not online.
Yeah, but it's still making a lot of them, right? Just still not bad.
No, it's great because there's just more bodies, and they eventually will get pumped up by something like an Elish Norn in the deck.
Which I think I made the deck, so I don't know if I had an Elish Norn in the deck because I tried to stay on Deem.
You're only gonna give yourself the Elish Norn, not Resting.
Well, I thought it was Deem, right? So the Walking Dead's all about humans or like surviving. I guess Elish Norn is technically a zombie looking thing, so maybe they put it in the deck.
That seems like some pretty good value. So Reclamation Sage coming out from Bad Kitty. Ashnod's Altar targeting it. He chose not to sacrifice at that point in time to really hit something on the board. There's a Rick, although there is a Mother of Runes that does have, so really anything on Resting's board is gone. But
so I think at this point everybody's like on the same level-ish. Maybe I could be a little bit more behind, but like, I don't have a stack outlet. You have a lot of humans. Resting has a lot of humans. I'm playing elves, right? Like I really need an engine to do anything.
So like Bad Kitty's the person who's clearly in the back, but Greater Good comes out on the board, and now this is a sack outlet that can fuel the graveyard and allow you to draw cards and keep interaction, and just keep those things. So this is a pretty powerful interaction you have on board.
Yeah, especially if my game plan's kind of dredge, right? So I have a lot of dredge, which with Greater Good I get to discard cards, and then I get to discard my dredge cards, which will then allow me to dredge some more, etc., etc. So it's pretty good, some might say. Pretty good. Oh,
yeah.
you.
Oh, and this is great art. Yeah, actually, so in the deck list you'll see I was not able to get a Recruiter of the Guard in time, so I replaced it with Grand Arbiter, which is pretty good because it reduces our spells and it taxes our opponents. But here, Recruiter of the Guard could have been pretty good. I'm not sure what I think it would have gone for Thalia's Lieutenant.
Oh yeah, that pumps your team quite a bit.
But overall, this definitely does help. I believe I just let Bad Kitty draw. I think we all let Bad Kitty draw.
Yeah.
Just how far behind he was, where we were just like, and given the power level, giving someone this amount of draw, the only thing that's going to happen is the board gets wiped. So, for the most part, or a big extra turn.
I guess sort of on that note, I think this might have been actually the longest game we have played to date or recorded to date. It was actually like a little over 2 hours or something like that. It was outrageous, and so I did a little bit of chopping and fast editing. So hopefully you don't mind it too much. But yeah, it was quite a long game.
And here, as I'm going with Adeline, struggling to remember. Oh yeah, it gets buffed up. Remembering the triggers. I believe here I go for the path, and this is when we made our deal. I believe this is when we made our deal because I have access to the path, and I try to go after Resting's Rick, which possibly could be you could destroy, but not entirely sure. So you're just gonna block with is that Will? Is that Mike?
That is Will.
It is Will. Okay, I don't watch the series, so I don't really. They just both. I kind of have to just remember which kid. I'm scared of the one that reanimates. The one with the bowl cut is the dangerous one, I've noticed.
I think they both have bowl cuts to an extent. One more pronounced than the other.
Shows how much I paid attention.
Anyways, Healer's Intervention, literally the worst healer interventions I've seen. Because I think Resting Spain 3-4 mana or something like that to just destroy Ristic Study.
One of the Ristic Studies on board, which I tried to path his creature, but nothing really happened from it. So this was one of those plays where it was, look in the heat of the moment. I think definitely looking at the board right now, if you were to take any, build up towards the game at this point away, Greater Good is 100% the main option because you get to feel your graveyard and everything. But
yeah, you got a 9/9. Makes creatures. So then pumps them, right?
And what?
You have your Adeline. So 9,
but
whatever.
For a Healer's Intervention?
Oh, no, I'm saying who's this carrier board? Like, I think you can look at your board, it has a lot of permanents. Oh, there comes Gidorah. Hopefully good flip.
Yeah, we'll see what Bad Kitty is able to get. Hopefully something pretty good. Pretty far behind at the moment, so. Sensei's Divine.
Which I think actually costs 1 to pay. I don't know if it's a put into the battlefield. I didn't read the card as it was shown.
I believe it's the put into the battlefield.
Okay, so never mind. It's not a cast. Okay, so good taste. Cost 0. And then he'll pay 1 to activate and look at the top 3 cards. And arrange them.
I hate to see yourself brainstorm locked.
Yeah.
But you have a risk exposure to kind of churn through them, especially when no one's paying at the moment. So we'll see how it unfolds. Overall, Bad Kitty, pretty far behind, so he doesn't really. I'm pretty sure he has, he's a blue deck. I'm sure he has some interaction in hand, but he's so far behind where he has to really tap out and get ahead. He's been the punching bag for a lot of things. I know I've been going at him with Chun-Li because he's been in the open board most of the game. But all right, Adeline is now off the board.
Where this is where the fun begins. 2 dredge cards into the battlefield. Bulgari, Thug, and Stinkweed.
Everyone's tapped out,
yeah.
And now you have Dredge 11, and I'm with a draw outlet on the field, and I was like, no. Once I saw the Greater Good, I was thinking how are we gonna get rid of this? And I was just hoping you didn't have another one, but you did. Enemy dead. This was before you drew a lot of your cards, wasn't it?
This was the turn.
Or did you?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Ashen Rider has done a lot. This is drawing cards and exiling things.
I think he's the MVP overall because Elshnorn, the other 2, I can't even remember. Oh yeah, it was the Grave Troll. Right?
Yeah.
Actually, it might be the Golgari Grave Troll is still strong.
It's pretty good. Why it's banned in Modern.
Sprayed in Legacy too. I don't know how good Dredge is at this point. So here is one of the mistakes that we made. It was more of a mistake in communication. So I casted Planar Incision on the mutated creature, which also had Reclamation Sage underneath it. I was confused about Mutate and how it interact, and somewhere we got confused, Bad Kitty and I, and he told me it bounced to his hand. So that's the game action that we went with. Given the interaction and how we explained it, Planar Incision was to bounce or to exile and flicker the mutated creature and get the Reclamation Sage trigger and kill the Greater Good, which you've already seen Greater Good in 1 turn when it doesn't have the setup, how great it was in feeling his hand graveyard. So that was a pretty key portion or pretty key spot into him not or for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think this is actually one of the games where the outcome of the game could be completely changed based on that interaction, based on the upcoming turns and whatnot. But it is what it is, and we try to do better and we move forward. So moving on.
Actually, did you have that heroic intervention in your hand this whole time?
Yes, but I think you could have responded, or just not swang your team at me, right? So Chun-Li would have died here.
That's fair, yes. Yeah, so it wouldn't have been an immediate the Greater Good still would have been on the board, but I was thinking it affected a lot more because
Bad Kitty has blockers right now.
Yeah,
he would have
100%.
So
changes the game, but
yeah. So again, not to beat a dead horse here. Just we made a mistake and we move forward. So resting, casting, recruit the guard, fetching for I think it's Alex Lieutenant here. Yeah. So we'll pump his team, make Rick and make.
What a copycat!
I think you're like the weaker copy of his deck. Those humans are swole.
Yeah, those are some big humans. I have a Rick in my deck as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So here, given the fact that we're I'm pretty. I don't know. At the time, the table was pretty. It was pretty divisive. You did some really good politicking and convincing resting that you were not a threat, and I believe you're not swung at all during this combat phase.
Well, I think so. Reston's pretty good at math. Like he wanted to optimize damage, so he knew he had to go full in at someone, right? So I have technically 3 blockers. You have 1 blocker, so if he's trying to optimize damage, he just goes in at you, right? I think that was his plan to play.
Well,
just a math like aspect of it.
In terms of dealing the most damage, yes, but in terms of threat assessment, I believe like that. I think that's where you politicked it well. You turned it in. You have a good way of getting past like, oh no, it's not really that bad. Where it's like, my board, I lost Adeline, so I can't produce any more additional creatures, and I don't have Chun-li. And we know Bad Kitty's next play because it was talked about before with the misplay that we had before. Instead of being it bounced, the plan was Reclamation Sage, the greater good.
Yeah,
and
so because Bad Kitty didn't have any blockers, he died. You took a lot of damage, and I took none. According to you guys, I'm like class A bullshitter, which I don't know if I agree with. I like to think I'm honest when I give my assessments of the board.
You are honest. You do not tell the whole truth, and that is not a that is a good thing. That like, because you're not lying, but like you said, like even what you said before, like I don't know, you have Adeline on the board, and I'm like, I don't know, you have a way to instantly remove it whenever you want to take a threat, which is one of the things where it's like you'll point out something to distract it, and that's something that is an aspect of your game that I have to give you credit on, is you know how to prop up, you know how to make a threat out of something when it's not as huge of a threat and downplay your things. And it's great, it's good, because I believe at this point with 17 life, if the 9 was directed at you that I lost, you're at 8, and like you're much, unless you win on this turn, and given our power level, we can't really kill you at this point.
Yeah.
Because one player down in order to deal with the threat that's on your board and just the instant removal. So I think at this point, it's mostly is just we have to kill you through. I think the best removal for the answer on board is the player removal. And I believe I attempted to do that when I swung my team. Unfortunately, heroic intervention.
Yeah, unfortunate turn of events here. Casting out, which is actually a pretty good card from Kamigawa. Let's look at top 7. Sorry, I'm grabbing anything that's equal to 4. Total value 4, so get an A-wit, a bird. Which the A-wit is kind of key for this turn being as good as it is, because I get to bring things back to the graveyard. As with greater good, as you mentioned, I get to draw a bunch of cards and discard all my dredge cards. As shown, yeah. So oof.
Yeah, and Eternal Witness is essentially just lets you pick out anything at this point. So it's a really, really good hit. This turn allows you to, instead of just really playing like the value, just killing something with your Ashen Rider and then finding a reanimation either in the command zone or through something like Animate Dead like you played before. You can really start to I guess loop, but not infinitely. Like you can go through this interaction a bunch of times and really filter through and get the things that you need. So I like the little editing, the dredging time, putting the Grave Troll on.
It's funny, yeah, and Stingweed. So it's like 11 cards, 6 and 5.
It is the value of it. This was all on board. Outside of the Eternal Witness and this happening before, this interaction was on board and you were able to talk your way out of it. That is a strength.
So yeah, Ashen Rider, as he dies, he will target the mom. So now Rick's wide open to be targeted as needed with boots. Victimize gets cast. What's up?
Well, I guess you need to get rid of the boots, but
yeah, one thing at a time. That's Ashen Rider into this battlefield again.
One thing at a time.
And Revelark.
I need a Revelark, so
yeah,
Revelark pretty good. Because you're able to bring back the Eternal Witness. Yeah, like you said before, the Eternal Witness is really key because it lets you keep doing this over and over again.
Yeah, which is, pretty good. Because now I sacrifice Eternal Witness, I go down our card, which is not important because I'll just get rid of the dredge cards anyways, right?
And do you run anything to like a Titan to reshuffle your deck?
I do not. So I have a limited source of cards. I don't even run the green enchantment from, I don't know if it's Summon Area or whatever. That once it gets put into the battlefield, or graveyard, it gets to shuffle your deck. Or
I believe that Gaia's Blessing. It's an instant.
Oh, it's an instant. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's from Thunderbolt Drain.
Oh, wow, I was so wrong. Or I don't even run Endurance either, which are cards I would put in this deck, but just to make more strong.
Yeah, I agree on not running Gaia's Blessing because it's an involuntary shuffle, and you don't want to do that when you're getting dredging. But Endurance is a creature that can be regenerated. It can interact with anyone else's board. I guess, given our, see, that's the thing. Whenever we put restrictions, and tell us down, in the comments if you made it this far through the whole video.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
So, if we're talking about no free spells and not no 0 mana spells, but we have a Force of Will and we intend to fully hardcast it, would you put something like Endurance in, but never just use it as a vote cost for the value and the utility?
I don't know. It's like, why would I put Force of Will if I'm not gonna use it for free, right? I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's a far out answer because you're using it. The most of the time you're using it interact, but if you're not using it, like Endurance specifically in this case, even though it's a free spell, I think you could probably still use it.
Yeah, so I kind of summarized that turn because a lot of things happened. I got Eternal Witnesses, like 3 enter the battlefield effects, Ashen Rider like 3 times, got a bunch of cards, and a Spore Frog, which is notable because I am, as you pointed out, pretty low life, so 16. So the human army that's kind of facing both sides kind of gets negated in one turn, which is
and there was one play I was considering, and it was to use the Charming Prince on the Aether Channeler to bounce the Spore Frog to either to force you out of it, but like I said before, Ryan was resting 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why am I thinking it's gonna be anything? Wait, why did you get his numbers and I don't? I just realized this.
Focus on the game.
Reptile 155. This is the game. I'm showing the game. But yeah, that was another line I thought about, is trying to get that. But at this point, I think he kind of has to build up his board, so he's unable to really, swing in effectively. So right now we're watching you dredge, and we're kind of just hoping you whiff. But dredge an 11 with an EWIT that you can return is pretty good.
Yeah, so victimize.
How many times do you have to victimize this one?
It's gonna be the second time. Yeah, it's the second time. But this time, what's up?
Oh, okay, yeah, because you can get the Elishnorn and the Broodmoth.
Yeah, the Elishnorn, the Bay.
Indeed.
Which is actually pretty good, right? Because now I have a way to get my things double effects, and I just need to get something that's gonna close out the game, which is what I go for.
Mr. Granite Theater 100, the cap.
Mr. What?
Usually the card's up whenever it's like, oh, this is what I'm gonna go for, and I just the little logo.
Oh yeah. I guess I didn't go for anything. Here.
Is this supposed to...
Oh, that's right. I EWID here to get a target of a card, which I believe is reanimate, so I can. Oh, never mind. I am wrong. I get Dam, which is a board wipe, and then I cast reanimate. There you go. Yeah, to get Sir Conrad back, which will do a lot of damage and keep my board, which is pretty good. Right? So everything comes back with a flying counter, so he technically enters the graveyard and then he leaves the graveyard, so it doubles on my side, which again pretty good.
Yeah, very and with the Luminous Broodmoth here, you could probably also swing.
I didn't. I got too greedy.
You just go for the dam.
Yeah, just cast a dam right away. Again, not used to damage, but you ruin my plan by Sword Splasher. Yeah.
I mean, your line of play was pretty. I mean, you put the dam in your hand, and we can kind of see it from the graveyard. So I was thinking, like, okay, with the Broodmoth, You have to kill it on the stack, so that way everything is gone, and you possibly live. But when Sir Conrad came out, I'm like, I'm gonna be so low on life at this point in time.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, so you swords in response, I sacrifice it, drew some cards, some dredging, things like 20 damage from Sir Conrad, 20 creatures or something like that died.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Resting, checking out the card.
It's pretty human.
Solid chunk in his life total, and still just chilling at 44.
Yeah, so it's pretty, we're kind of reset it now. So, yikes.
Yeah, at this point the board was reset, but I'm trying to remember what was put into your hand with what you dredged. And here I was kind of just praying that Chun-Li lived, because if Chun-Li lives and it attacks, I can go get the Graph-Digger's Cage, and you just wiped Resting's board. So this was my only opportunity at 2 health where I was like, I think this is the only time I'm able to live, and it's just banking on Chun-Li. So Grit comes out, but Greater Good does let you, even though it's discard, it's also a lot of card selection, and you get a discard things that you need. But there's the Toxic Deluge.
Yeah, which is Toxic Deluge for 5, and then I pay 1 more because of the City of Ass. So.
That's fair. Also, going back to the attacks before, that 9 damage is looking really impactful.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think you would have been able to reanimate Sir Conrad.
Probably not. Right?
No, because you were at 19, I believe. So you would have taken 9 and been at 10, and you were at 10 last time, so you would have been at 1 going through the same line of play.
Yeah, but I think I have a Sea Shrine in the graveyard, so I can always get a Sea Shrine on drain people. Right? There's many ways that I could gain life and lose life as needed.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but yeah, it everything. It's hindsight 2020, right? Everything changes. It's just you play the game and see recordings and whatnot.
Yeah, I actually really like this aspect of it, because you're able to look at it from a bird's eye view and just be like, okay,
this is what we did. We're part of the game.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, so John G's another good card, which has a good line of attacks once he dies. Each opponent loses to life. I think he's a 5, like an older one that does 5 damage when he dies.
Mm-hmm. And resting, using Path to Exile, and Enlightened Tutor, so that's actually really convenient.
Yeah.
I feel like I died from the Junji trigger, losing 2 life and discarding 2 cards. So I am out of this game, and at the moment, it appears that you'll be able to reanimate another target, right?
No, because I bet each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. So I don't have any reanimators, but I think I have another reanimator spell in the graveyard, which is on Burial Rites, that I can cast with flashback, I believe.
Yes, you can. Sure.
Hopefully I exiled it. Yeah. There's an exile power, and I can bring back, I think I'd bring back Sheldred.
That's smart. Just get the creatures down.
Yeah.
That's the main to you.
And I can get my creatures back, and then Resting will have to stack a creature in the beginning of each upkeep.
And Resting does not have Greaves, so cannot find a flyer or something to get in the air and hit you.
Right.
That Praetor doesn't have Reach, does it?
I don't think so.
It probably has Death Touch. It's a spider, so I
think it's Swamp Walk. But yeah, so the game, I'm still at 3 life, right? So like, Resting just needs to go super wide and I'm dead. But he just needs to make a lot of humans, and based on game set, I think he stopped decking at this point. So.
Yeah, and I mean, he's top decking in mono white and doesn't really have a draw engine of any kind. So the unfortunate thing is that he lost his boots, so his Rick won't be able to stick around. And white doesn't really have a lot of means of haste or direct damage to face. So.
But never cut him out. never count him out. Never know. So with the trigger for Children, I bring back Luminous Broodmoth, which is just a way to recur my creatures as needed, and I hard cast Golgari Grave Throw, which is honestly MVP, I think, along with the Greater Good and Ashen Rider.
Yeah, I would say so. They all contributed towards this engine. And yeah, Golgari Grave Troll being cast and actually having a pretty relevant top text too of just hey, if you play your grave, then I guess you have this 20-something beater at the end.
Yeah,
and you can regenerate.
Holy
crap! And Mike's there, so Shield Druid on top of Mike allows you to reanimate things in your deck. I think the only thing at this point is trying to make you deck. Yeah, board wipe or trying to make you deck out for some reason. Because no, a board wipe wouldn't even help because you brought back Broodmoth.
Oh, you're right. I guess Golgari Grave Troll interest is at 0/0, but I still have 3 other creatures. Yeah.
What do you mean? Because
Golgari enters the bottom. Oh, never mind. He wouldn't enter as 0/0. Never mind. I'm silly. I just yeah. Bring back Fleet Elshorn as a beater. As a beater, yeah, which is also a great card. And at that point, yeah, it's kind of all set in stone.
Oh, there was the swords. There was that secret lair swords.
Yeah, but I think you didn't want to give me the life. What's up?
Well, you're right. They do both have bolt cuts. I guess they do with the little button up, wave his hands like a wizard. Boom.
Well, he's a dungeon master.
You know, really changed the outcome. I think based off of that misplay, but I think the game still turned out pretty well. You know, you still had heroic intervention, so there were other ways to get past that one. But I'm pretty at that point. It was pretty clear that you were one of the front runners in terms of it, so it would have helped in terms of dealing with the answers that were on board. Overall, pretty good game. Congratulations, Synergistic.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good game. I like the deck. I don't know if this deck could be good in stronger formats. Maybe I'll make a stronger version someday and bring it back using fast mana, free spells. The dredge mechanic with Will, making clues, and Mike, it's a pretty good interaction in my perspective, so who knows? But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this Halloween special where we dress up our cards and play with the most controversial cards Wizards printed, which is the Universe from Beyond. Don't forget to subscribe, like down below, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you then.